this video, we are going to create a floral comb the bride could wear on her wedding day. This comb is going to have two ingredients, hyacinth and pieris. Now you may be thinking, how can I use hyacinth, like this big flower, in a comb? Well, we are going to wire it. Wiring is a very important part of a florist toolkit, and it allows you to do so many different things with lots of different kinds of flowers. So I'm going to show you one way today that you can use hyacinth in floral hair combs. The first thing that we're going to do is take a 30 gauge wire. The higher the gauge, the more flexible and pliable the wire is. Hyacinth is a very fragile little flower, so we don't want to tear it by using a wire that is a little bit too heavy and unflexible. So I could even go for something that is just a tiny bit more flexible than this, say a 32, but this is the smallest gauge without moving to some kind of like jewelry equipment that I was able to find here in the States. So what we're going to do, we have the wire, and we are going to snip off hyacinth. And I have a few already ready to go for us over here. When you're snipping, it's important to keep this tiny little section of the flower intact right here. This is what we're going to spin around to secure that wire hold and use it to start attaching the stem tape. So that little portion is very important. And these hyacinth have been matured. These came in about a week ago, so they've been in water for 7 days. They've really had a chance to fully develop and open. If you're using hyacinth that aren't fully developed, a lot of times the only ones that will have usable pieces are the ones right at the bottom, because this little piece is a part of the development process for the flower. So having it age and having all of the little edges come out and grow out is an important part if you're going to be using hyacinth for wiring. So what I'm going to do is take my wire, and I have one of my little bells here. I'm going to pierce through the flower like so. Then I'm going to thread it so that I have a little bit of wire on each side of my flower. I'm going to bend down and very gently pinch so that both of those wires are running in alignment. Then I'm going to take one of the wires and I'm going to bend, and then I'm going to run it in the opposite direction to secure this wire in place. Then I'm going to again get these two wires going back parallel with one another. I'm going to take some of this green stem tape, which adheres to itself when stretched. So I'm going to stretch it just a little bit before putting it on to the flower. And my goal here is not to have a lot of this stem tape. I want to have it be as thin and stretched as possible, so that it overall remains quite delicate. Okay, let's do it one more time. I have my bell, piercing straight through. Gently pinching down. I don't want to rip the flower. That's an important part of having this thin wire, and it just takes a gentle touch. It's going to take a couple times of practicing. You are probably going to break a few. Even though I've done this many, many times, I still sometimes apply just a little bit too much pressure. That's par for the course. Bringing those back into alignment. Attaching the stem tape. and running down the length of my wire. Now for this comb, just this simple ingredient of the pieris, we're going to use it both for the foliage and the flower. It's so pretty this time of year. I love how it's going to be able to just cascade across my comb. Just want to perfect it. If there's any little spots on there that need to come off, I'm just going to give them a little snip. So I'm actually going to start by laying this on first, just right over across the top. And then I'm going to fasten it onto the comb using one of these wired hyacinth flowers. I'm going to take and I'm going to pinch down here at the thick part of the wire. I'm going to run it through the comb. Like so. And this hyacinth flower, I'm just going to tilt off a little bit to the right-hand side. We'll add another one. So the nice thing also about wiring is that these stems are flexible. And so I'm just taking it, it's gone through, it's looped over. Now I'm just going to go up here, back, and I'm going to let this just go free for a minute. And then we'll put in a second one. Same sort of scenario. This time we're going to go in the outermost piece. I'm going to go up again, following my same path. And now I have two pieces that can be zhuzhed around however is needed. I left these ones free because I wanted to see how these two pieces up here were laying. So what I can do is I can take one of them and I can weave it back up through here. And now I can secure again the pieris. Okay. Now I'm just noticing that I would like to have a little bit more foliage. So here's where it comes down to your design preferences and how you'd like your end piece to look. I'd like to have this little spray of foliage here, and then also a spray of foliage here with just a few of those little bells peeking through. So again, my second wire that I let loose, I can weave that up through, catch that stem, and secure that second piece of foliage. And just like when you're making an arrangement, you can see, oh, would I like to have a flower here, there? How would I like this end piece to be? And I actually think I'd like to have one up here on the corner. So I'm gonna just stick it in there right at the spot where I'd like to hold it. Flip that wire through and gently behind. So now I've got all my pieces in here. I just need to clean up the back part of this wire. So to do that, I'm going to just gently braid these pieces together. And snip right here. And fold this little section right around the edge so that it's not going to poke anyone whenever it goes into the hairpiece. So there you have it, a little flower crown or a little flower comb. And just gives you a little bit of an idea of the things that can happen whenever you know how to wire. Now, unlike, you'll notice that some of my pieris is starting to fall apart, so it's a week old as well. And some of it even longer because it was cut a little bit before we had a quick frost snap. So that is starting to fall apart. So if it was a little bit fresher and the berries were smaller, we wouldn't be having this issue with them popping off. But I'm just gonna clip that piece out that didn't look so good and then readjust, and we are all set and ready to roll. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.